Good morning, YouTube. It's the half man, half amazing Black Clark Kent coming at you live this morning. So I want to talk about an interesting story. Before I get into it, subscribe, comment, share. Hit the notification button. You know I do live videos, stuff like that. I want to start this video off by saying, I was raised by my grandparents and my dad. I was raised on my father's side of the family, and I was mainly raised by my grandparents. My father was in my life, but my grandparents are the reason where I am today. Like, if without them, I wouldn't know where I'd be at, or or who I would be, or I could be dead or in jail if it wasn't for my grandparents. And the reason why I bring this up because I read a story yesterday that kind of hit. I don't want to say it hit home, but it was a very tragic story. Um, so apparently there was this 11-year-old boy that was being raised by his grandparents in Tucson, Arizona. Um, So I guess during the course of the day, the grandparents asked him, clean himself up, clean his room up, whatever. And I guess he was giving them a hard time, but they didn't think nothing of it. Typical 11-year-old boy just being a boy. So they're sitting down watching TV, and all of a sudden, the boy comes up behind the grandmother with a loaded pistol and shoots the grandmother in the back of the head. The grandfather immediately runs after the boy, but then comes back to render aid to his wife. And then he went to go check on him. The little boy ended up killing himself with the grandfather's gun. And I'm sitting there, I'm reading the story. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is horrific, horrific, terrible, terrible, terrible. And I was reading the story. I left a link of the story in the video, and I left a link to the profile of the two people that were involved, the grandmother and the grandson. Found them on gunmemorial.org. So if you want to read the story, there's some interesting statistics also in the story. Um, Apparently in Arizona, um, ages 10 to 14, there's like the high suicide rate for kids that age in Arizona. I'm like, once again, that's not something that's normal. Like, kids that age should be having fun. And I mean, I understand we live in a different generation, but Jesus Christ, man, like that is some terrible, terrible stats. And I guess also like there was a stat saying like 4.6 million homes have at least one loaded pistol in it. Um, like I said, I tell people, I say this in my videos, like, listen, you have a right to carry a firearm if you want to, but also you have to be responsible for that firearm too. Especially if you have kids in the house, lock that thing up, lock it up. Don't tell them where it's at, and if you can, don't even tell them you own a gun. I mean, that might be a little bit impossible, but lock that gun up like it's Fort Knox. Like, it's a shame that the grandfather has to bury not only his wife but his grandson, and like the story says, make sure you check out for mood changes in the kids and stuff like that, like erratic behavior. And I'm like, damn, man, like this is some scary, scary stuff that we live in. Like, there's no way this should have happened. Like, the kid resorted to shooting his grandmother in the back of the head, then he killed himself. That's not. We live in a society now where that's considered normal, and it's not normal whatsoever. It's a damn shame. Um, like I said, I couldn't. I When I was a kid, I used to get mad at my grandparents, but I just go in my room and get over it, you know. And like I said, this is a tragic story. Um, like I said before, in the article, it states that ages 10 to 14 um, commit suicide, and that's not good at all. It's not good whatsoever. And on top of that, like I said before, like it's a shame that it had to come to this. It had to come to this. And it was the grandfather's gun. I don't know how the grandson had access to it. Obviously, he knew where it was at. The grandparents never thought it would got to this point. And like I said before, it's a shame that it had to come to this. And like, what do we do about this situation? Like, 10 to 14-year-old kids shouldn't be committing suicide. That's not, they haven't even started life yet. You know what I'm saying? They haven't even started, they don't even know what life is about, but they're already taking their lives. Like, there's a serious problem going on. Like, I'm a big proponent of mental health. I'm a big proponent of it. You know, for veterans, for children, for men, women. If you feel like you need mental help, you need some mental counseling, get it. If you know someone that you think needs mental counseling, talk to them, help them get that, because that's the most important thing that they need at that time. Because you never know what's going on in their mind. I used to work in the mental health field, and we had former clients of the organization I work for come back and talk to us and talking about, like, we sat down and listened to like an audio of what goes on in their head, like all these voices going on in their head. They're thinking one thing, the voices are telling them to do something else. And this mental health stuff is really serious. It's scary. It's scary to the point where, like, thank God I've never experienced that, and I hope to God I never do experience that. But they told me, like, one of the people there told me, and I never forget this, what she said. She said that a mental break can happen at any moment. Any moment it can happen, and it can change your life, change you for the rest of your life, and that's scary. I mean, that is scary. And I'm not afraid of it, but it's just like, in the society that we live in, we need to have better resources out there for people that are suffering from mental illness. I totally agree with that. We need more services out there, because people think mental health is just some type of stigma. It's not a stigma, it's real. It's really real. And apparently, this 11-year-old boy that killed his grandmother had some serious issues, serious underlying issues, and unfortunately, it ended tragically, where he took his grandmother's life, and then he took his life as well. I can't imagine what the grandfather's going through today. I can't imagine. Not only he's burying his wife, he's burying his grandson, and they had full custody of his grandson. So, I mean, from that standpoint, I was raised by my grandparents, and like I said before, I could never imagine ever doing something like that. But that was a different era, though. I mean, we live in an era now where things are totally fucked up. Let's call it how it is. Things are totally fucked up right now, and like I said, we need. I'm not gonna say we need tougher gun laws, because, like I said, I think the guns are not the issue. It's the people being responsible with these guns and making sure that if you have young children in your house, that they don't have access to these guns. They don't even know that you should know. They shouldn't even know you have a gun in your house. You know, lock that thing up. Lock it up. Lock it up twice, 3 times. Put in a safe. You know, gun locker, whatever. You know, um, unfortunately, like I said before, this kid had access to this gun, and he was able to shoot his grandmother in the back of her head and kill her, and then kill himself. So obviously there was some underlying issues going on with this young man that was either missed by the wayside or happened like that. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's just a scary proposition out here that, we have these kids that are growing up nowadays, like, I don't know. I don't want to label them as I mean, they're millennials obviously, but I don't want to label them in a bad light. But it's just hard that, I understand things evolve over the course of time. I get that and I understand that. But it's like, you have situations where, you got kids raising kids, and, like, they're not finished being adults themselves, and they're having these kids at young ages. And I don't know the situation and why he was raised by his grandparents. I don't know. But it's just a tough, it's just a tough situation where you read an article and you see that kids in Arizona from the age 10 to 14 has a higher rate of suicide. And I mean, that's unheard of. That's something I've never heard that ever in my life. That's the first time I ever read that statistic. And it's a shame. It's a damn shame, you know? And what do we do as adults that are trying to be a positive role model and positive role model to these kids? Or, you have parents that are trying to be role models to kids. What do we do? I mean, I'll give you a scenario. I've been in relationships in the past where the female I was with had children prior. And, I don't want to say I was raised old school, but I was. Like, I was raised to respect women, you know, treat everyone with respect. Don't judge a book by its cover. Think with the glass half full. And there be situations where I go out and do some work, and I'll bring my girlfriend at the time's kid with me to, like, to show them the value of, like, earning $1, like, or you can't talk to your mom that way. You know what I'm saying? You got to talk to her with respect. Like, I mean, I don't want to be labeled as the bad guy, but they looked at me as a bad guy because I was the one that installed discipline. Never put my hands on any kid. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in hitting your kid. I don't believe in that whatsoever. But I'm one of these people, like, I wanted to teach them, like, if you go out and you work hard and earn your money, you appreciate it more, But I mean, that's neither near or there. But I want to be a positive role model in kids' lives. I worked for a nonprofit where I worked in after-school programs. I worked in the schools, you know, taught the kids, the values of giving back to the community, giving back to, growing up, being a value member of society, you know. The jail's not for you. I mean, I work in the justice system. You don't want to be one of those people behind bars. You don't want to be that because the worst thing you can have is your freedom taken away from you. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. You can be down and out. You can lose your job. You can lose you can lose your spouse. I mean, I think losing your kids is probably just as worse as going to losing your freedom. But you know, I feel like my mission on this earth was to give back to the people, give back to society. I mean, I work in the public sector. I've worked in schools. I've worked in after-school programs. I used to work on Saturdays, teach 6th to 8th graders the importance of giving back to the community. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done this and when I was younger. I was like 20 years old doing this. Like I feel like you have a purpose in this life, and if you can be a valuable member of society, I feel like you've accomplished a lot. In this world. And like I said before, this story hit me a little bit. It touched me a little bit because, like I said before, I was raised by my grandparents, and this young man was raised by his grandparents as well. So we can relate in that sense. But what the kid did was heinous, man. And he's 11 years old. He's no longer with us, as long as his grandma's no longer with us. But I wonder what was going on in his mind that he thought it was okay to shoot his grandmother in the head and then kill himself. All the grandparents asked him to do was clean up his room and clean himself up. And like I said before, the link to the story is in this video. The two profiles of the people that are deceased are in this video as well. They're on gunmemorial.org. Check it out. I appreciate y'all getting up this morning and hearing me ramble. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Get notifications when I go live. So yeah, like I said before, I'll say it again. In Arizona, kids aged 10 to 14 have the highest suicide rates in Arizona. Like, that's not normal. We need to do something about these guns in the house in terms of making sure they don't have access to these guns, because if the grandfather would have locked this gun up, this probably wouldn't have happened. And like I said, I feel terrible for the man, because not only he's burying his wife, he's burying his grandson too. And it's like, I can't imagine what he's going through right now, what he's thinking. So, and like I said, 4.6 million homes in America have guns in their house, loaded guns at least one loaded gun in their house. And like I said, I don't have any problem with people owning a firearm. I don't have an issue with that. My issue is making sure that thing's locked up. Right? You see so many stories about little kids getting hold of these guns, thinking they're toys, and then something tragic happens, and then you're left wondering, what could I have done different? Well, lock your gun up. Lock it up safely. You come in the house with your gun, first thing you do is lock it up. Before you hug your kids, before you do anything, before you kiss your husband, kiss your wife, significant other, whatever, lock that gun up. Then we won't have stories of accidental shootings. Kid plays with a gun, kills himself. Kid gets mad at parents, shoots parents, then kills himself. Like, it's scary that this behavior has become normalized. Like, we're becoming immune to this type of behavior, and it's not normal. You know what I'm saying? It's not normal. Like I said in one of my other videos, kids nowadays are getting accustomed to school shootings. So that part of the curriculum is what to do if an active shooter comes into their school. What do you do? Like, I didn't have to learn that when I was in school. like I said, we live in a society now where like tragic shit is normal. And I don't think it's normal whatsoever. So and it's like I said, it's an unfortunate event that happened. It caught my eye, so I wanted to talk about it. Like I said, I appreciate y'all getting up this morning with me, hearing me ramble. On a side note, I got leaving Saturday, heading out to Phoenix. Uh, then Monday, I'm going to Vegas for a couple days before I come back. Hopefully, I'll have some good news for you guys on Monday. I'll do a couple of lives from Phoenix and Vegas when I get out there. Um, Maybe I'll get on Instagram too. My Instagram is on my description. My Twitter is on my description. Um, like, comment, subscribe, share. I appreciate y'all again. Half man, half amazing. The Black Clark Kent is out. I'll see y'all later. Peace.